He brought Filipino karaoke to Canada, and everything changed. Have you ever seen a man lose everything he loved and then find his purpose in the most unexpected corner of the world? Thomas Reid was 70, a retired mechanic from Alberta, the kind of man who fixed everyone's problems but never spoke about his own. His house was quiet, too quiet. After his wife passed away, even the ticking clock seemed too loud. Every morning he made coffee for two, but only drank one. Every night he stared at the same old photo, her smile frozen in time. The silence wasn't peaceful anymore. It was heavy. One winter afternoon, his doctor told him, "Tom, you need to slow down. Maybe travel, rest, breathe." That night, he sat by the window, watching snow fall over the street. He whispered softly, "Maybe peace is somewhere else." A few weeks later, Thomas did something no one expected. He sold his truck, packed one suitcase, and booked a one-way ticket to the Philippines. He didn't know why. Maybe it was the beaches he saw on TV. Maybe he just wanted to feel warmth again, both in the air and in his heart. When he landed in Dumaguete, everything felt alive. The air smelled of grilled food and rain. People smiled without reason. Children waved at him like he was family. But what caught him most was the music. Everywhere he went, someone was singing. In bars, in houses, even in tiny sari stores. And not just for fun. It felt sacred. He asked a tricycle driver one night, "Why do you Filipinos sing so much?" The man laughed and replied, "Because when we sing, sir, we remind ourselves that we're still alive." That answer hit Thomas like lightning. He didn't fully understand it then, but soon he would. A week later, his landlady, a cheerful woman named Marissa, invited him to her nephew's birthday. He thought it was just dinner. He didn't know that night would change everything. Inside that small house, 20 people were laughing, shouting, singing around a karaoke machine. It was loud, chaotic, joyful. A little girl danced barefoot. An old man sang Bon Jovi badly, and everyone clapped anyway. Then someone handed Thomas the microphone. "Your turn, Tito Tom," they cheered. He froze. I don't sing," he stuttered, but they kept cheering. So he smiled nervously and started to sing. "Wise men say, only fools rush in." His voice cracked, his rhythm was off, but nobody cared. They clapped, they sang with him, they laughed, and for the first time in years, Thomas felt something he hadn't felt since his wife died. Joy. That night, as he walked home through the warm streets, music drifted from every house. He stopped and listened. Hundreds of voices, imperfect, but full of life. And he whispered to himself, maybe peace doesn't mean silence after all. After that night, Thomas Reid, or as the neighbors now called him, Low Tom, was never the same again. Every evening, he'd hear someone singing nearby, and instead of closing his window, he'd open it wider. He'd hum along quietly, sometimes off-key, sometimes too slow, but always with a smile. The people around him noticed. He wasn't the quiet foreigner anymore. He was family. One morning, Marissa knocked on his door. "Lolo Tom Barangu Karaoke Contest tonight? You must join." He laughed. "Oh no, I'm not good enough for that." But she smiled. In the Philippines, it's not about being good. It's about feeling good. That night, under colorful lights and tangled wires, Thomas sang Country Roads. His voice cracked again. But this time, he didn't stop. Everyone clapped, shouted, and sang the chorus with him. "Take me home, country roads." He looked at the crowd. A sea of smiling faces and tears filled his eyes. He remembered his wife, how they used to sing that same song on long drives back home. And for a moment, it felt like she was right there singing beside him. After the contest, a young boy tugged at his sleeve and said, "Lolo Tom, when I grow up, I want to sing like you, even if my voice is bad." Thomas knelt down and smiled. "Then you already sing better than most people, kid, because you sing with your heart." Music swells softly. Ambient laughter fades in. Days turned into weeks. Thomas helped fix neighbors' broken fans, motorbikes, and lights, refusing to take money. Instead, he'd just say, "Sing me one song and we're even." Slowly, he realized the karaoke wasn't just music, it was therapy. It was how these people healed pain without saying a word. They sang their stories, their struggles, their love. And that's when he decided he couldn't keep this joy to himself. So before flying back to Canada, he bought a small karaoke machine, the same one he sang on that first night. Marissa laughed and asked, "You'll bring karaoke to Canada?" He winked. "Why not? Maybe my people need it too." Sound of airplane taking off. Fade to city ambiance. Back home, the air felt cold again. The silence returned. But Thomas was different now. He set up that little karaoke machine in his garage, invited his neighbors, old, grumpy, lonely souls like he once was. They laughed awkwardly at first. Then someone sang, then another, and soon that quiet Canadian street was filled with laughter and music, just like Dumagati. Thomas stood there smiling, his heart full. He looked up at the stars and whispered, "Thank you for teaching me how to live again." Soft emotional instrumental swells fade out. To be continued in Chapter 3, The Village That Remembered His Song. It was on his third night that Richard discovered the secret. The sun had set, and the air buzzed with excitement. Someone wheeled out a battered karaoke machine, and suddenly the living room was transformed. Lights flashed, microphones were passed around, and everyone, young and old, took turns singing. The songs were in Tagalog, English, and sometimes both. The voices were not always perfect, but no one cared. Laughter filled the gaps. Children danced. Grandmothers sang ballads with tears in their eyes. "This is how we celebrate life," Liza explained. "Karaoke is for everyone. It brings us together." Richard watched in wonder. He saw shy teenagers blossom as they sang their favorite pop songs. He saw old friends teasing each other with playful duets. He saw strangers become family, united by the simple joy of music. It was not about performance, but about presence, about sharing a moment, no matter how small. As the night wore on, Richard felt something stir inside him. He wanted to join in, to be part of this circle of joy. But fear held him back. He had not sung in years, not even in the shower. Still, the music called to him, promising healing and connection. The next evening, Richard's niece pressed a microphone into his hand. "Tito, Richard, your turn," she said, her eyes sparkling. The room cheered. Richard's heart pounded. He scrolled through the song list and found an old favorite, "Yesterday" by the Beatles. His hands shook as the first notes played. He cleared his throat, closed his eyes, and began to sing. At first, his voice was thin and uncertain, but as the melody carried him, something shifted. The words flowed out, carrying years of sorrow and longing. He sang not just with his voice, but with his whole heart. When the song ended, the room erupted in applause. Richard opened his eyes and saw faces shining with pride and encouragement. Tears slid down his cheeks, but he was smiling. For the first time since Margaret's death, he felt alive. He felt seen. That night, Richard joined every song. He laughed, danced, and even tried a Tagalog ballad. He realized that karaoke was not about being perfect. It was about being together. It was about sharing joy, sorrow, and everything in between. When Richard returned to Winnipeg, he brought more than just souvenirs. He brought home a karaoke machine, a stack of songbooks, and honestly, a heart full of hope. He invited his neighbors over for a Filipino night, promising food, music, and stories from his travels. At first, his Canadian friends were a bit shy. They hovered near the snacks, not quite sure what to expect, but Richard's enthusiasm was, well, just contagious. He sang the first song just like he had back in the Philippines. His voice cracked, but he just laughed it off. "It's not about being good," he said. "It's about having fun." Soon, others joined in. A retired teacher really belted out "My Way." Two teenagers gave a Disney duet a shot. Even the grumpy man from next door ended up singing a country classic. The room filled with laughter, applause, and honestly, a sense of togetherness that had been missing for way too long. By the end of the night, Richard's house felt completely transformed. The cold outside was forgotten. Inside, there was warmth, music, and a new tradition starting to take root. As the weeks went by, Richard's karaoke nights turned into a regular event. Word got around, and soon Filipino families from all over the city joined in. They brought lubia, pancet, and stories of home. They taught their Canadian neighbors how to sing in Tagalog, and, well, everyone just laughed at every mispronounced word. One night, Maria, a nurse from Cebu, sang Bakit Pa with Richard. Their voices blended together, their laughter echoing through the house. "You have to feel the song," Maria told him. "Sing with your heart, not just your mouth." Richard nodded, realizing that music was a language everyone could share. Kids taught each other dance moves. Elders swapped recipes and memories. New friendships blossomed, crossing boundaries of age, language, and culture. "This is what Canada is about," Richard said one evening. "Different stories, one song." Through karaoke, Richard's home became a bridge, a place where differences just melted away and everyone belonged. It didn't take long for the movement to spread. Local newspapers ran stories about Richard's karaoke nights. Soon, community centers and churches across Manitoba hosted their own events. Filipino-Canadian organizations offered free karaoke lessons, and schools added karaoke to their music classes, encouraging students to sing in both English and Tagalog. National TV picked up the story and, karaoke fever sweeps Canada, the headlines declared. Interviews with Richard and his friends aired coast to coast. People from Vancouver to Halifax shared their own karaoke videos online, tagging friends and challenging each other to sing. Even the government took notice. In 2026, Canada's Multiculturalism Day featured a nationwide karaoke sing-along, with thousands joining from their homes. The simple act of singing together became a symbol of unity, healing, and hope. A year later, Richard returned to the Philippines, this time with a group of Canadian friends. They brought gifts, maple syrup, hockey jerseys, and of course, stories of their karaoke adventures. Liza's family welcomed them with open arms. That night, they gathered once again around the old karaoke machine. Canadians and Filipinos sang side by side, sharing songs in English and Tagalog. "Salamat, Richard," Liza said, hugging him. "You brought our joy to your home. Now we share it together." Richard's Canadian friends were moved. "We thought we were just singing," one said, "but we found family." The room was filled with gratitude, laughter, and a sense of wonder at how a simple tradition could unite people across oceans. As the night ended, Richard looked around and felt a deep peace. He understood that music had given him a second family and a new way to belong. Back in Canada, Richard's story became legend. Schools created karaoke friendship days, and community centers held annual Filipino-Canadian karaoke festivals. Even Parliament opened a session with a group sing-along, honoring the power of music to bring people together. Richard, now surrounded by friends old and new, watched as his small act grew into a movement. He saw children from every background singing together, learning each other's songs. He saw elders teaching youth and newcomers finding a place to belong. Richard's legacy was not just in the music, but in the connections he sparked. He showed that joy could cross borders, that healing could come through song, and that one person's courage could unite two nations. In the end, Richard's journey was about more than karaoke. It was about finding hope in unexpected places. It was about building bridges across cultures and discovering that joy is something to be shared. Canada and the Philippines, two countries separated by oceans and climate, found common ground in music through karaoke. They discovered that everyone has a song to sing and that together their voices create something beautiful. So the next time you hear laughter and music drifting through a winter night, remember Richard Thompson, the man who brought home a box of joy and changed a nation one song at a time.